Everyone has their arch nemesis. Batman has the Joker, Spider-Man has the Green Goblin, Star Trek has Alex Kurtzman, and I have that one guy. You know who you are. Yes, you. I'm talking to you, you prick. And one of the oldest rivalries is Godzilla's nemesis, King Ghidorah. As much as other Godzilla properties like to say it's Space Godzilla or Kong or Mecha-Godzilla, no, King Ghidorah has always been Godzilla's main nemesis and will always be. And we have had plenty of King Ghidorahs throughout the years. And well, since I ranked every Mechagodzilla from worst to best, why not rank every single King Ghidorah from worst to best? This is mostly my opinion, of course, and it's not an official list or anything like that, so just basically take it as my opinion. And we're not doing every single version of King Ghidorah, because Christ, there's just as many of those as there are Godzillas. I mean, I'm not going to be doing the Godziban version, or the ones from the toys, or even the Chibi Godzilla, because we all know that would be number one. But I will be including the two new Ghidorahs that we had for the Godzilla rides, from the Shin Godzilla ride and the new Universal one that they did last year. Because, well, they're interesting designs and I want to talk about them. Anyway, I'm Alex the Hunted, and this is every single King Ghidorah ranked from worst to best. Number 11. The King Ghidorah from the Godzilla anime trilogy. To the surprise of no one, the anime trilogy Ghidorah is, in my opinion, the worst. But just like most of the things in the anime trilogy, it was a good idea that was just done poorly. The idea of a Ghidorah being worshipped as a god is a great idea, but he's really just an interdimensional creature that just wants to kill people, because of course he does. And also that he is the reason why Godzilla grew massive to fight this thing. So yeah, a great idea, but as usual it was just poorly done. What really sucks, of course, is, well, just the design. Again, the full design we never actually see. We just see spaghetti noodles attacking Godzilla. But the design itself, well, from what we got from the toys, isn't really that great either. Nicknamed the Chicken Foot Ghidorah, we never actually see this Ghidorah on full screen. We just see the long spaghetti heads, the spiky noodles, whatever you want to call them. And yes, you could argue this is one of the most powerful versions of Ghidorah, even maybe one of the most powerful kaijus of all time, but then again, really not being able to hit him is not much of a powerful trait, and the fact that the moment he is able to be hit, he pretty much goes down very quickly doesn't exactly mean he's the most powerful in my opinion. But yeah, great potential, but as usual with this goddamn anime trilogy, poorly implemented and just a waste of potential. Oh, for God's sake, can we stop talking about the anime trilogy now? Number 10. The King Ghidorah from Godzilla the Ride. Now here we have a Ghidorah that I haven't been able to see much of really, because the only way you've been able to see this Ghidorah is by riding the ride, or just watch some cheap low quality footage from the ride footage videos. And while Godzilla has top billing on this ride, he's not that in it that much. It's more the Ghidorah ride really, because he just really wants to kill the riders of this ride. So let's talk about him. He is to date the most recent King Ghidorah we have ever had. And I would probably put him down as probably one of the weakest King Ghidorahs, because Godzilla seems to have absolutely no issue with him taking him down seemingly in one shot, just crushing Ghidorah underneath his foot or a building. Like, it seems to be done very, very quickly. He is also maybe one of the fastest Ghidorahs. Like, how much we see him move around and fighting Godzilla and Rodan, he really, really seems to be quick and agile, which is not an often common trait that we see in Ghidorahs. They're usually big and bulky and just using their size and power to dominate the opponent. We don't really see a fast Ghidorah. But there is one major thing which I don't like about this Ghidorah, which has put him down lowest in my ranks. I don't like the fact that they gave him technically arms. I know, yes, his wings have arms on them, and they are used mostly as wings, but from how he uses them in the ride footage, he is basically, well, they kind of act like arms, and I don't like Ghidorah having arms. I know it's an odd reason, put him so low, but yeah, that's my reason why he's number 10. I just don't like the fact that they gave Ghidorah arms. I know, it's a stupid reason. Moving on to the next one. Number 9. The Cretaceous Ghidorah. So we have Godzilla Jr., why not make Cretaceous Ghidorah sort of like Ghidorah Jr., because Cretaceous Ghidorah is basically a young King Ghidorah. Maybe not even king yet, more a Prince Ghidorah or something. And the design really kind of reflects that. This Ghidorah looks young. He doesn't look like the massive bulking threat that he becomes later on in the Rebirth of Mothra 3 movie. He seems small and weedy and, well, he doesn't even have his electricity beams yet. He has more like a fire blast sort of a thing. He doesn't seem nearly as much of a threat, which is probably why Mothra goes back in time to kill Ghidorah, and so to kill him in the future. It's a Rebirth of Mothra movie, these things are weird, just accept it. And he does have the Xenomorph alien roar as his roar, which I do find funny. Yes, I know it's a stock sort of sound effect, but I just find it funny hearing Ghidorah roaring and expecting a Xenomorph to show up or something. Also, this might be just a case of the suit design himself, but I do find him running to take off kind of silly. It looks kind of funny. Like, he doesn't really do this often. He's not much of a runner. He does look very stiff when he's trying to run. Also, this Ghidorah seems to be able to regenerate his body, as we see like a piece of him gets cut off and it's able to sort of remain smart enough to bury itself so it can regrow and become King Ghidorah later on in the movie. Until I review the Rebirth of Mothra movies, these movies are just really, really weird, so it would take the whole video to explain why Ghidorah can be in the future and then get erased but then appear back in the future again. It's like Godzilla vs King Ghidorah all over again. Really, what puts this Ghidorah down the most, really, is we don't see much of it, so we don't really get a good aspect of what this Ghidorah can really do, because it just appears, fights Mothra, and then seemingly dies. That's about it, really. Moving on to the next one. Number 8, Shin Ghidorah. Well, it was only a matter of time for Shin Godzilla to get his Shin Ghidorah, and hey, it's on another ride that I can't ride because I'm a YouTuber making not much money in the UK and I don't live in Japan, so I have to go off the captured footage from the ride. This Ghidorah very much follows the Shin Godzilla design, being more of a horror version of the character. While not being much of a body horror type of character, he is more bulky, and he would be what I would think the anime trilogy Ghidorah should have looked like, in my opinion. But he looks big and bulky and strong like a tank. And he doesn't seem to have much of an origin or anything in the ride footage anyway, that he just basically appears, Godzilla fights the Evangelions a bit, and then Ghidorah just appears, and they fight him instead. So he doesn't get that much screen time. But I do very much like the design. It's a definite cross between the Shin aspects of design as well as Ghidorah himself. And I do feel like this design was very influenced by the MonsterVerse Ghidorah, which we'll get to him eventually. But from as little that we see of him, this is a nice new bulky design and a worthy challenger to Shin Godzilla. Hopefully they do something else with him later down the line, so we get to see him again. We get to really see how powerful this Ghidorah is. Number 7. The GMK King Ghidorah. Oh no, what's this? Alex is talking about the GMK again, his favourite Godzilla movie, but it's not really high on the list? What the hell's going on here? Well, allow me to explain. This is really the only good King Ghidorah that we've ever had in the Godzilla franchise. Every other King Ghidorah has been the bad guy, apart from this one. He's also, I think, to date, the only King Ghidorah who is smaller than the Godzilla that they are fighting. Usually, King Ghidorah is a lot taller than Godzilla to make Ghidorah look like a big, massive, challenging threat. But in GMK, they switched the roles around to make Godzilla look like a massive threat. Ghidorah is smaller than him. It was a deliberate design choice, which I really do like. And as for the design, well, it is basically Varan's head on Ghidorah's body. His head sculpt and wings are definitely more of a traditional dragon design than the usual ones that we're used to with the Ghidorah. And while he does have an interesting backstory that he's a sort of multi-headed dragon kaiju that was defeated, and the only reason that he has 3 heads is over the time of his defeat, that's the only amount of heads he's been able to regenerate. He's supposed to have more heads. But the fact that he is smaller than Godzilla does lead to a bit of a problem with the suit, in my opinion, in that it is very clear to see that it is a suit actor hunched over in the suit. And really, you can also kind of see where the arms and everything go in this suit design, and where the head is. I'm not saying it's a bad suit, but yeah, before he gets his power up, this Ghidorah, it doesn't look that good in my opinion. And also when he does get his wings, and we do see him flying around as the suit and not in CGI, oh man does he look stiff. Why is it always the more recent King Ghidorahs, the suits just seem to be more and more stiff, when the first King Ghidorah suit was very lively, it seemed to be able to move quite easily. But not this one, no, it's a very stiff moving Ghidorah. Well, I'm just nitpicking really, let's get back to stuff I do like. I do like the updated roar, how it's sort of a new version of the original roar. It still has that bell quality to it, still sounds like it's a ringing bell, but sounds more godly in a way. and mystical, which is what this movie was going for. Also, he probably has the best music in the movie. In fact, this whole movie soundtrack is pretty damn amazing. And I do like how they use this Ghidorah to do multiple different kinds of attacks and not just him shooting his beams all the time, which he does do eventually at the end, but you know, he grapples with Godzilla, he lands on him, he bites him and all that sort of good stuff. He isn't just standing in the background shooting lasers at him. So really the only thing that puts him down mostly in my opinion is the suit. It's not the best suit, it's not even the best suit in the movie. So that's what puts him down the most in my opinion, but hell yeah, I found something negative about my favourite Godzilla movie. Sue me. No, actually don't sue me, Toho, I know you're listening. But for our only good Ghidorah that we've ever had to date, he sure is a good guy. A fun guy. Too bad he got blown up. Number 6, Mecha-King Ghidorah. With Godzilla having his Mechagodzilla, it's only fair that his arch-nemesis King Ghidorah gets his own mecha. But instead of just making a robot King Ghidorah, Mecha-King Ghidorah is more of a cyborg, sort of putting Ghidorah on life support system. I really do like how they did that. They didn't just make a robot King Ghidorah, they did something different. They used their imagination. I like how it's not just a complete robot. We still have body parts of the original Ghidorah still fully on display. It really makes him stand out from the other mechas. He has his own unique abilities as well, this being one of the few kaijus that knows how to time travel. I think he's the only kaiju in the Godzilla franchise that can time travel. And no, Mothra doesn't count, because Mothra 3, the Rebirth of Mothra movies, don't count in the Godzilla universe. I'm stopping you now, that guy in the comment section who's going to say that, because no, technically the Rebirth of Mothra movies aren't canon in the Godzilla timeline, so shush. And I do like all the different features that they put on this Ghidorah, like how he has his giant claws of shockingness to basically sort of arrest Godzilla in a way. Seems like this Ghidorah isn't made to kill Godzilla, more just to detain him or send him away, which he does his job very, very well, even though it results in him being destroyed and there being technically 2 King Ghidorahs in this timeline at the moment. Oh god, this movie's plot is very confusing. And I do like, while it's not explained in the movie, in supplemented material, they do explain that the wings aren't used for flying. The wings on Mecha-King Ghidorah are more like giant solar panels to power the kaiju. He actually flies using jet propulsion in his back, even though we don't actually see it on film. And that's why Ghidorah's wings, Mecha-King Ghidorah's wings, don't flap while he's on screen. Unless you're playing Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, where they did flap because it was basically just a skin swap. But they did fix that in Save the Earth. But yeah, I really do like Mecha-King Ghidorah. I like how they used a lot of imagination and not just gave us a robot King Ghidorah, which they did in that weird Godzilla TV show where they used the toys. I'm not counting that on the list. But yeah, this is the best Mecha-King Ghidorah, well, one of the best mechas of all time, really. He's a time-travelling cyborg dragon. What's not to love? Number 5, Kaiser Ghidorah. Ah, Monster X Kaiser Ghidorah, the only real threat Godzilla faced in Final Wars. He made sure that the final fight of the Final War was a good one. Kaiser Ghidorah just dominates Godzilla until his power up. And I like how it wasn't just Kaiser Ghidorah blasting Godzilla with his beams. I mean, yes, that's mostly what he uses his gravity beams for, and he does shoot Godzilla a hell of a lot in this fight, but he doesn't just zap him with the gravity beams. He picks him up, he drags him around, he throws him around the place, smashing him into buildings and all that stuff. That's a very clever and inventive use to show how powerful this new Ghidorah is. Also, him stomping Godzilla just sort of feels like retribution to all the times that Godzilla stamped on his neck. And I also really do like his ability to sort of be like a vampire leeching ability, because, yeah, I mean, King Ghidorah is known to be a planet-destroying kaiju. Like, he goes from planet to planet destroying things. So this Ghidorah using like a sort of leeching vampire ability to suck the life out of something sort of explains why he would become a planet destroyer, because he's got a hunger to fill or something, or just to get more powerful. It's a really unique ability. But what stops him from being in the more top end of this list? Well, while the design itself is really cool, I love how the gold seems to be like ripping through the body, like it's just so much power ripping through the body. And I do like how each head has its own individual design. And having 4 legs, allowing this Ghidorah to finally stand upright and not be hunched over like all the other Ghidorahs, really makes him look more powerful and intimidating. The main things that put him down are, well, the suit itself does look kind of, well, rubbery on camera. It does look cheap looking. And the wings themselves are just far too small and stubby. Thank God we don't actually see him fly in the movie, because this Kaiser Ghidorah design flying would just look really stupid and ridiculous. But yeah, apart from the cheapness of the suit looking quite rubbery, this Kaiser Ghidorah really truly is epic. Number 4. The Showa Ghidorah. The original King Ghidorah and the original three-headed planet killer, this King Ghidorah is just a great classic design. It's very simple but has been improved upon over the time, but the simple first design I think works really well. This is the first Ghidorah and was such a threat that he got his own movie to introduce him and needed 3 of the most famous kaijus to take him down. It was really impressive first display from this Ghidorah, and the suit itself is probably the most impressive suit in the Showa era, of the Godzilla movies anyway. And we completely understand why they just kept bringing him back, because, well, just look at this design and how it's used. There's nothing like this Ghidorah up until this point. Like, there was nothing like this from kaiju designs at the point. They truly went to make something epic with this Ghidorah. The only problem really with this Ghidorah is, from his first movie, he is built up as this massively powerful planet-killing kaiju, and in his other appearances he is always under the control of another alien race, which really just puts him down. He's supposed to be this giant planet-killing kaiju, not just being able to be controlled by the alien of the week of the Godzilla movie. That's the main thing that puts him down. Also, that the fact that they never really repaired the suit, meaning by the time his final appearance in Godzilla vs Gigan, my god, does he just look like he's falling apart. But yes, he is the original and still one of the best. The Showa Ghidorah really just brought Godzilla right in the forefront. I think he was the real turning point of the Godzilla franchise. Up until then, you know, the Godzilla movies were pretty good. You had Godzilla vs Kong and Mothra and the first Godzilla movie, which were all really strong, but I think it was Ghidorah the three-headed monster that really took off Godzilla, in my opinion. This is where the Godzilla franchise really found its footing, and it was because of King Ghidorah. So yeah, the original and maybe, to many, the best. Number 3. The rebirth of Mothra, Grand King Ghidorah. For me, this is probably the best, well, design King Ghidorah, maybe? I just love this design. It alludes just so much power and also evilness at the same time. This Ghidorah is just... he is what Ghidorah should be, I think. He's not under control of anyone. He's not some mindless beast. He seems to be a genuinely thinking antagonist with ideas and plans, and that just really works for me as a villain. Grand King Ghidorah also is just such a great name, and his array of abilities really puts him up to par with Mothra. Maybe could be argued the strongest King Ghidorah that there is. Just how he was able to wipe the floor with Mothra Leo in the first battle, which tends to be a bit of a recurring theme with these Mothra movies, is that the first battle goes terribly wrong for Mothra, and the sequel battle goes much, much better. But yeah, this Ghidorah, I just love it. It's like how he's just pure evil, in my opinion. Like, this is how Ghidorah should be done, in my opinion. And I say my opinion a lot because this is my opinion, of course. But yeah, he is just gives off this vibe of evilness and power. Yes, the suit is a bit stiff, especially when he's flying, but that seems to just be a thing now. But he seems to just have a massive array of abilities, how he can just shoot a beam from not just his heads, but his wings. He has a shield ability, he can even seem to hypnotize people. Truly, this makes him worthy of being a king, a planet-destroying king god character. But he is third place on my opinion of King Ghidorah. Number 2. The MonsterVerse King Ghidorah. Gotta say, as much as people complained about the original Godzilla in the 2014's design being him too fat and all that stuff, they really made sure they didn't make that same mistake again when it came to the other legendary kaijus for the MonsterVerse, because my god, did they just nail the design of King Ghidorah. While not as bulky and as strong looking as other King Ghidorahs, he definitely comes off as a rival alpha to Godzilla. The way he just sizes Godzilla up in their first meeting, how he does, like, sort of makes himself look as big as possible to intimidate Godzilla, and how they also kept the fact that he is an alien. I was amazed that they actually kept that. I was so ready for them just saying, oh no, King Ghidorah was a kaiju that just came from Earth. But no, the MonsterVerse Ghidorah is an alien. I love how they kept that. I was really surprised that they kept that. And yes, while he doesn't have the same vast array of abilities of other King Ghidorahs, he just basically has his electricity beams, his gravity beams, which he likes to use a lot. It doesn't mean that he doesn't give us some good fights, and he doesn't just zap Godzilla all the time. He uses his limbs and his tails and also loads of other stuff. And he also seems to be able to keep that vampire ability that Kaiser Ghidorah had, which they never really used, but it looked like he was doing that. He is really, really awesome, and it's a great design, and they kept many things about King Ghidorah to keep him as King Ghidorah. The one thing that just stops him from getting the top spot for me is that he does come off as a little weak. Now, I'm not saying he is weak, but usually in the Godzilla vs Ghidorah fights, Ghidorah is a massive power and way able to overpower Godzilla himself. Godzilla usually needs help to take down Ghidorah. Not so much in this one. I know there was like the big triumphant, oh, Mothra's joining the fight to help Godzilla, but Godzilla was winning the fight at that point. He didn't really need the help. Yeah, if they made King Ghidorah more threatening, more strong, he would definitely have taken the top spot in my opinion, but just the fact that he did come off as a little bit weak, you know, that he was on equal footing to Godzilla and not stronger than him, just puts him down from stopping him from getting the top spot in my opinion. Number 1. The Heisei King Ghidorah. Yeah, to the surprise of no one, the most iconic King Ghidorah is number 1 on my list because, well, yeah, just that design is just so perfect. You see that, and that is King Ghidorah. I know we've had plenty of other designs further down the line, but yeah, this one is the most iconic and famous for a reason because just look at it. It exudes all the qualities of King Ghidorah: power, alienness, just ruthless strength, and just brutality. That is what this King Ghidorah gives off to me anyway in this design. That's what makes him the most iconic. And while yes, he is not the strongest King Ghidorah, he is the King Ghidorah I think who's had the most influence. He's the King Ghidorah design that has appeared in the most games, that's for sure. And while yes, he does have the new roar, which, you know, isn't as good as the classic roar, but it's still pretty strong, powerful roar, and he, when fighting Godzilla, was absolutely kicking his ass. And as usual, Godzilla needed outside help to get the upper hand. This is just the best design and the best Ghidorah in my opinion. Yes, he doesn't have much of a character, but he still, even when he loses his control from the future people, he still seems to be just as vicious as usual, like going in to strangle Godzilla, wanting to choke him out. While yes, this Ghidorah was under the control of another force again, he was still evil even when he wasn't in control of someone else. I just think this is the most iconic design and the best version of King Ghidorah. It's sort of a case of less is more, because yes, this King Ghidorah doesn't have that much screen time, but you're wanting much more from him. You want to see what this Ghidorah can do, and hell, Toho was planning plenty of times in the Heisei era to bring this Ghidorah back, but obviously they never got around to it or something, I don't know. But yeah, in my opinion, this is the most iconic King Ghidorah, the best in King Ghidorah in my opinion, and be sure to tell me how wrong I am in the comments below. And that was my list for ranking every single King Ghidorah from worst to best. Tell me what you think of it in the comments below and what you would rank yourself. And if you want to support me, be sure to like, subscribe and comment, you know, to help me against the YouTube algorithm, the true King Ghidorah. But if you want to help me out even more, I do have a Patreon you can support. You know, you don't have to, but it just takes $1 and you can get to support me if you like. Anyway, I'm Alex the Hunted and I will see you guys next time for whatever the hell next video I do.